Hi everybody, Bob Tyser, your Chief of Police from Prescott Valley. Welcome to another edition of Chief's Chat. Today the topic that we are going to be talking about is narcotics, something that almost every one of us in the community are familiar with because that is a drug that affects everyone. So today we have a great panel here today for about the next 15 minutes or so. We're going to be talking with Lieutenant Corcoran for the Prescott Valley Police Department. He oversees our drug enforcement unit. Lieutenant Josh Brazil from the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, the commander of PANT, and Miss Marilee Fowler from MAT Force. And we're going to explain what MAT Force is, and we're going to explain what PAN is, and we're going to talk a little bit about our community and narcotics. So thank you for joining us. We're super happy to have you here today to have this conversation with our community. Mike, why don't we start a little bit with, you've been in policing like 30-some years, right?
33 years.
33 years, so you're not a rookie to this.
No.
We're still having a drug problem in America.
Oh, we are.
Just like we did when you were a rookie.
Exactly.
Right. So we know that, and you have responsibility at the Prescott Valley Police Department overseeing narcotics. Can you talk a little bit about that and some messages to the community?
Absolutely, and thank you for the invitation to be on this episode. Currently, we have a drug enforcement unit that consists of a sergeant and 3 plainclothes detectives that are responsible for in-depth investigations of narcotic activity in the town of Prescott Valley. In conjunction with that, we are also partners with PANT. We have a detective from Prescott Valley who's assigned to the PANT, Partners Against Narcotic Trafficking Task Force, in which Lieutenant Josh Brazil oversees. And we have developed quite a collaboration with both entities as far as overall operation. As we know, drug activity doesn't just stay in one location. It's not just in Prescott Valley, but areas surrounding Prescott Valley are affected. And so we share a lot of information, and we collaborate our resources, equipment for such investigations.
Right. So I really appreciate what you talked about there, Mike. You said collaboration and partnerships. Those are super important because we know that drug traffickers, who we're primarily targeting, right, drug traffickers, move from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, right? They don't honor jurisdictional boundaries, so why should law enforcement, why should we have jurisdictional boundaries? We don't have that in our area, do we?
No, we don't. We are responsible for particular crimes in the town of Prescott Valley and investigations, and if there's anything that overflows into the county or into anywhere in the state or even in the country, we have partnerships with the Drug Enforcement Administration, Homeland Security, and we also work with, like I said, with the PANT in investigations up here in northern Arizona and in the Yavapai County that we collaborate with. So much of our information we receive, it starts out small, and as we investigate these things, we find out that there are pockets of crime in narcotic trafficking that occur in and out of our area, and we have, with our collaboration, able to investigate those utilizing all of our resources, because we're a small department and we get to utilize the resources of larger agencies.
Very fortunate to have that, for sure. Thank you for your leadership in that area. Lieutenant Brazil, thank you for what you do for PANT. Tell the audience a little bit about what PANT is. There are some folks that don't even know what that acronym means.
Yeah, so PANT is Partners Against Narcotics Trafficking, and it's a task force of multiple agencies throughout the county that are part of the task force. So we have Cottonwood Police Department, Camp Verde Marshal's Office, Sedona Police Department over on the Verde Valley that are part of the task force. And then we also have over here on the Prescott side, we have Prescott Valley Police Department that has a detective with us that's assigned, Prescott Police Department, Chino Valley Police Department, and the nice thing too is we also have canines assigned to us as well from Prescott Police Department, then our own canines. So we have 2 sergeants, one that's on the Verde side and one that's on this side, with detectives assigned to each of them for 2 squads. And then we have a canine sergeant and some canines assigned to him that are part of the task force. So it's a county-wide task force that was meant to basically, kind of like Lieutenant Corcoran talked about, not be stuck with just Chino Valley Police Department trying to investigate their own things, Prescott trying to investigate their own things, Prescott Valley trying to, just a collaboration of everybody together working towards the same goal of making the community safer. And I just took over as the commander of the PANT task force about 3-4 months ago, and it's been a pleasure working with Prescott Valley Police Department, Lieutenant Corcoran, and their drug enforcement unit. Great partnership that we have.
That's great. Well, we appreciate your leadership, and you are a Yavapai County Sheriff's Lieutenant, correct?
Correct, yeah. So I started with the Sheriff's Office in 2007 and had different jobs throughout the Sheriff's Office in detective sergeant, and then as a lieutenant now. And so it's been about 15 plus years, almost 16 years that I've been a police officer.
That's great. Well, we appreciate your leadership on PANT, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that in DEU as we go through this conversation. But we have you, Ms. Fowler, here. We just talked about the police officers. They're involved in enforcement for sure. What is your role in MAPForce, and what is MAPForce?
MAPForce is a coalition, and what that means is that we're people from all different sectors of the community that are working together, and our primary focus is to prevent and reduce substance use. So it takes us in a lot of different areas, but again, you talk about collaboration. We collaborate with law enforcement, with the medical community, with the treatment community, with faith-based community, with business community, just with everybody with this very complicated issue of how do we go about preventing and reducing substance use. And so it takes us in a lot of different directions. We do education in the schools, we do parenting classes, we do professional trainings. We have the Overdose Fatality Review Board where we're reviewing overdose deaths and looking at ways that we can prevent them. We're actually working on some statewide education campaigns now with the rise of fentanyl. We're trying to make sure that people are aware of the dangers of that drug. But really what has been the key to the success of MAPForce is that, again, as a coalition of people working together, we come up with ideas and we're willing to work and implement those ideas. And so it's just taken us a lot of different directions, and it's just been an honor to work with so many amazing people in Yavapai County.
Well, you have a great group of people that work over there. You just named a whole lot of collaboration out there, a lot of different partners out there. And us in law enforcement are so appreciative of that, because we would hope that we could, Mike mentioned 33 years in law enforcement, that we'd work our way out of this situation by now. We could arrest ourselves out of this situation, but it's just not happening.
Right.
We need the prevention, right? We hope that people won't start down the path of drug use and abuse, right?
And I think, too, that you bring up such an important point, because about 9 of 10 people that develop a use disorder started as a teenager. And so with youth and adolescent brain, we work really hard to educate them on the true risks of starting to use that drug, at a young age. And so that prevention is just really key to solving the problem.
That's so well said. So with the community, if they would like to have a presentation from Matt or MAPForce or information or a presentation, how do they go about doing that?
They just need to call our office. It's 928-708-0100, or they can go to our website, which is matforce.org. And again, as a coalition, we're looking for volunteers. So if somebody wants to be a part of our Speakers Bureau, help us in the schools, help us at community events, we just encourage anyone that wants to be involved, or if we can be of support to them, to just contact us, and either one of the staff or volunteers will come out and help out in any way that we can.
Thank you for that. Gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing on drugs in the community. What's going on in our community as it related to the illicit drugs that you deal with?
Oh, I'll start it off and then let Lieutenant Corcoran talk about it. The biggest thing that we've been seeing throughout the nation, obviously, as Ms. Fowler talked about, is fentanyl is a huge issue. And in fact, Arizona's on the front lines of the fentanyl crisis. When you talk about amount of seizures that are happening in the United States, over 50% of the fentanyl seizures are happening in Arizona for the entire United States. And so it's an extremely huge issue. And obviously, we're seeing a lot of overdoses with this. And so that's one of the biggest things that I was going to talk about, was fentanyl and how much of a problem it is. And I'd like Lieutenant Corcoran talk a little bit more about his ideas on it too, but that's something that we're seeing a lot of, and methamphetamine is also on the rise as well. So that's why it's great to have Ms. Fowler here to talk about the prevention side of it.
Right.
If we can stop people from getting into the use of fentanyl, then that's obviously going to lower the overdose deaths and the fatalities that we're seeing.
Which is the ultimate goal, right? Reducing deaths and having a healthier, more successful community, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Mike?
And we hope that our apprehension efforts are making a difference. And we can see that in not only the reduction in fentanyl deaths that are occurring not only in our county, but nationwide, and specifically in Arizona. But we receive our information through tips from the community, through investigations, through contacts that officers have with individuals in our community. And that is where we base our information for the investigations. I want to point out, though, that even though our resources are small with the amount of detectives we have for not only the town, but with the region over here, that all of our sworn officers here in the county and the region are very well versed in drug trafficking, drug activity, They know the deceptive measures, they know the routes, they know the hiding places for different drugs and things. So we're very, very successful up here with many of our apprehensions. But again, with talking about our partnerships we have with Matt Force and the programs that are there to help those that use and abuse drugs, those things there, obviously our efforts, although we try as hard as we can, don't eliminate narcotics and drugs in our neighborhoods. So with that being said, we ask that if people have information about drug activity, drug trafficking, we would ask that you call the silent witness, Yavapai County. That is 1-800-932-3232, or you can do it online through yavapaisw.com. Any information that's brought in that is disseminated to the appropriate agency so that we can actually receive the information and conduct investigations. So we ask that the population, that everyone in the town, in the county, reach out to us and let us know what's happening.
So when folks call silent witness, or even if they call the police department or just saw an officer or a deputy sheriff in one of our establishments in town, they can do this anonymously too, correct?
Absolutely.
They don't have to leave their name.
Not at all.
But again, the goal is community safety, and so there are only so many law enforcement officers in our community, right? But there's hundreds of thousands of people that live here, many more that live here as well. And if they can help out with this problem, then we can help the community out. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. All right, there's also another way that the community can help out. There is an app here that we have in our town. I'm sure the sheriff's office, maybe you have something similar, and if you do, mention it. We have it's called Our PV app, OURPV app. And those residents or people visiting here can go to that app and they can report just about anything to the town that they want to. It could be something about Parks and Rec or streets or public works or whatever the case is, or if they have information on narcotics trafficking, and they can do that too there. So you can go that right to the Our PV app. Do you have anything that you would suggest from the sheriff's office?
Yeah, so the sheriff's office, we rerun the silent witness program, and so that's our main thing is the silent witness. But also our dispatch number is 928-771-3260. And that's a number that they can contact to if they need to report something. Be perfect to call that number, report it, or anonymously at Silent Witness.
Great, well, appreciate that. So let's talk about not getting to us, right? We want the prevention. We only have a couple minutes left here. What would you say to parents in our community on how to start that prevention, how to keep kids away from the illicit drugs that we see in our communities? What would you say?
Number one is they need to have conversations with their children. A lot of times parents are uncomfortable and scared to start that conversation, but just simply having a conversation, being open and honest, and discussing the truth with their children is so important. The Partnership for a Drug-Free America says that kids that actually have these conversations are 50% less likely to start using. So never underestimate the power that you have as a parent. In the Arizona Youth Survey, which is a survey that's done with 8th, 10th, and 12th graders, it's like the number 2 reason, parental disapproval is the number 2 reason why kids say that they don't use drugs and alcohol. So we just want to know that we make a difference, and even if you're not a parent, I'm a grandparent, have conversations with kids in your life about, and I believe kids are smart and they'll make good choices if they realize the true risks associated with it.
That's great, and it really resonates with me, those leaders that we look at. Coaches are another one.
Right.
Just an hour ago, I had lunch with my 2 high school basketball coaches. And it's the first time I've had an opportunity to sit down with those 2 great coaches, great mentors to me as a man. Last time I was running up and down the court and they were yelling at me because I was like 16 or 17. And I might not have liked them too much back then because they had me running up and down the court, going nonstop. But now I look back and I'm like, wow. And I told them that today. I said, you 2 really had a lot of influence on me and my teammates. And so all the folks in our community, whether you're a teacher, you're a parent, you're a coach, you're a business owner, or you're just a good upstanding citizen, a good parent, good person in our community, has a lot of influence. So I really encourage our community to step up in that leadership role to keep our kids safe before we end up down a wrong path. So I want to thank all 3 of you for being here today, really sharing your information. I hope we have a safer community, but on a personal level, thank you for what all three of you do, leading these teams here in our community, keeping our community safe. So that's it for this year, this month's Chiefs Chat. Next month, we'll have another opportunity to speak with something that's going on in the department, but today was an important topic, and we really appreciate you listening, and let's keep this community safe. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.